B20 has hit the public test branch, and the first thing we're going to look into is the US Camo improvement. Straight off the bat, you can see the overall colour tone and contrast has been made darker, quite comparable to the British MTP. It's a much needed change and it's great to see it finally being done. Chora has undergone a complete optimization pass and has had a slight overhaul. On screen displayed will be the main changes. Having a look at Upper Orchard, we can see terrain has been smoothened out, we have a new tree type, and the density of the trees and foliage has been increased. Fog also has appeared to be tweaked, and it appears that the LOD of distant trees is slightly bugged as it gives off a weird hue. I'm sure this will be further tweaked and fixed in the future. I do have a bone to pick with some of these changes, as Upper Orchard used to be a vehicle and tow vantage point. With terrain being smoothened out and tree density increased, vehicles can no longer overwatch this position, and tows on the rooftop are less effective. This is an infantry focused map, so I understand why this might have been done, but it has taken a little away from vehicles. Moving on over to Hemp Farm, we can see that tree density and placement has been changed significantly. There's a lot more cover and has created a wider area of approach. I like the changes considering Hemp Farm's a more infantry focused cap point. Having a look at the marshes in the centre of the map, we get a look at the new landscape material. We can also see that grass has been changed. It's a bit more patchy and less dense, which I'm not a big fan of. I wouldn't mind it to be a little more denser. The first person camera perspective has been adjusted to match that closely of the third person eye level height. This will help in instances of peeking around corners or even looking through windows and murder holes. On screen, a line will be drawn to give you an idea of how much the height has been adjusted. The Bulldog originally had an M2 Crows added to it, but was changed to real life spec of a remote weapon system using the FN mag, or as others would know it as, the M240. I think the 240 is enough, as the M2 would have made it the most powerful APC in the whole game due to its armor and HP. For this variant of the Bulldog, a crewman role is required to drive and gun the vehicle. The open top is still unchanged, you do not need the crewman role for that. The weapon system itself has 500 rounds of ammunition and 2 levels of zoom, 1 times and 5 times. The Aussie mod faction is officially coming to squad and has been purchased by Offworld Industries. For now we'll be getting a map known as Lashkar Valley, and the mod it was known as Operation Anaconda, but I guess due to the map being heavily influenced by the Project Reality map, Offworld decided to rename it to Lashkar Valley. The map is quite large and has quite a strong focus on using helicopters and vehicles for transportation. The map has a variety of points of interest, from construction sites, fields and farmlands, townships and villages, to even military outposts. One thing I did notice is Offworld removed the tunnel systems, which I'm not a big fan of, but I'm hoping that they'll re-implement them at a later date. Overall, this map has a lot of potential, and I had a lot of fun playing it during the Aussie mod playtest. I just hope we see a return of the tunnel systems, and not too much further changes to the original map design. All Russian ground vehicles have been updated with the new camouflage. Instead of pure desert tan, they now have a mixed tone stripe pattern. The new camo is definitely aesthetically pleasing. How effective it is, we'll have to find out. The T72 does look sexy as hell though with it. Moving on to the final things to talk about. It's highly likely that we'll see 100 player tests within B20. They were planned for both B19 and B20 originally, but we all know how B19 launch went. It had a variety of performance issues that needed to be addressed, so it makes sense to hold it off until B20. When it does happen, as shown on screen, will mainly be for data collection and to see what progress has been made, to see if player limit can be bumped up to a stable number, where server performance is satisfactory, until 100p could be achieved. I came across an interesting Gorodok AAS layer, where it starts off single lane, then branches off to 2 lane, and goes back to single lane. The last time we saw something like this was on Fool's Road. Just thought it was something interesting to bring up, since we haven't seen it in a while. And the last thing I want to touch on is helicopters are coming to El Basra, which will spice things up quite a bit. This is pretty much it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.